That's how I'll start off.
Do it now.
My right arm. That's my little arm.
Yeah, but that's your peak arm. That's your.
Something like that. It looks a lot stronger than it is.
Ah, I don't believe that. What is? Are you're sandbagging? Normally, it seems like super vascular. Real puffy. Is that the money shot? No, that's where it counts. Got it. Got it.
Lighting.
It's
My veins are usually out to like here. It's
fair. Mine too. I'm usually real thin.
the lighting that's off. That's the only reason.
Well, I'm going to introduce this young 19-year-old phenom. His name is Garrett Rees, and he is currently the 187-pound champion out of Utah State left-handed. So, quick round of applause for that young man right there. That was
Sounds
earned.
like an amazing young man. Very sexy, very good looking, from what I
Hey,
hear.
as long as you know him, that's where
Yeah,
it's.
something like
That's awesome. Go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit more than I did. I mean, I said covered two bases.
Well,
That you're a guy.
yeah, my name's Garrett. I was born and raised here in Wyoming, been arm wrestling about 2.5 years now. 19 years old, Utah State champion, left arm 0 to 187. That's what that belt back there is for. That's my new favorite medal. Um, United
What?
States amateur national champion, left arm again. Um, and then a couple of open tournament wins between Montana and Texas. Getting getting a small amount of a name for myself between Montana and Texas now. Mostly just up and down the Rocky Mountain corridor. I have yet to go really west or east, but I think I might be starting to gain a little traction out there because of a few people throwing my name around lately. Um, some other than some wins on a couple of big name pullers. That's about all the official tournament wins I got. Uh,
How long you been pulling? Is it 2 years?
about 2.5 now. My first tournament was Colorado State 2021. I think that was November of 2021. That was a good tournament. Not for me, but it was a fun tournament to go to though.
Now,
I
in
got to
that
see.
tournament, did you pull youth only, or did you pull adults?
I tried pulling youth. Nobody else was in my class that day,
Okay.
but I
You
pulled amateur 176 left and right. Got destroyed. I almost quit that day, honestly,
really?
but I'm glad I. Oh yeah, I took it really hard.
Why?
I don't know, man. Like, I guess leading up to it, I had really no idea what I was going into, and I thought I would be literally holding me. It took a toll on me. That one hurt.
I can understand that. Young mind, young ego, young testosterone, very, very young.
But I was only 16 at the time, so
I I'm
still a little.
I'm blessed to have you because I call you a teammate. I love working alongside you. I love watching you grow. So I have the benefit more than others to know how strong you really are and how humble you are as
Happy
well.
to call you captain. Yep.
I appreciate that. What got you into arm wrestling?
So when I first started working out after seventh grade, and it was just push ups, sit ups, later into lifting weights, and after a while it just kind of got boring. So I wanted to find something to put my strength towards. At first, I thought I wanted to be a bodybuilder because I liked Arnold Schwarzenegger. Then I realized I liked eating cake and candy too much to ever be shredded. Then I thought about trying out powerlifting, but I just I wasn't too much into it. And then finally, I just saw arm wrestling after getting my ass kicked by a couple of guys, and yeah, that was 5 years now. I saw my first arm wrestling video, and about 2.5 years since I started actually practicing and training and competing. And yeah, that's how I got to here.
Okay. With that being said, do you come from a sports background? Like, what did you do junior high? Like, even go far back as grade school? Did you compete in any organized sports?
Junior high, I tried wrestling, running, and diving, and I was never good at any of them. And then finally, when I got to high school, tried some running again. Again, I don't like running. And then I got to swimming, where I actually really shined. All 4 years of high school, by my senior year, I was a state champion, the highest point scorer, and the captain of the swim team. Had a lot of fun there. And growing up, it was shooting, climbing. That's what it was.
Okay. Do me a quick second. Recap the last 10, 15 seconds of what you just said because you kind of cut out.
And and yeah, junior year of high school, I think it was when I started arm wrestling.
Okay. So super, super young. Who specifically, if you
I shooting, hunting, hiking. Did
bear with us, we might have to go back and re-ask the question as we let the young Wyoming man come back because he's so far. The wind out there in Wyoming blows so hard that it interferes with Wi-Fi connections and the ability. Hey, look who's back! The big.
No, actually, it's all just them rednecks and hicks. They're taking down the power lines and everything. They think it's all a government conspiracy.
That's all right. Those are my people. I send smoke signals and they call me. We're all right. So you were saying that you were in your junior year is kind of when you accelerated in your. That's when you started arm wrestling, but you had been a major contributor and captain of your swim team all throughout.
Hmm. Yeah. By my senior year, I was one of the two captains and the highest point scorer on my team, winning 3 out of my 4 races. Swimming was fun, but by my senior year, I was getting tired of it.
Do you think that translated over into your arm wrestling career of putting your energy and effort into it, or not at all?
If anything, I think it was detrimental
Really?
because yeah, because when I started practicing with you guys, I was also swimming 6 days a week. So I think it just I don't know, honestly. I I don't think it helped. But if it hurt, I don't think it was too much either.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, you
So
walked away as a state
I mean,
champion. So
mhm.
was that also in
But
your senior year?
yes, senior champion was my senior year. I mean, back then I was probably working out about 6 hours a day, swimming, and then my gym classes at school, and then lifting weights at home. Like it was a lot.
No, I mean you're growing into your man strength. I would say it that way, only because you're stronger now than you were the first time we ever held hands.
Oh,
So
undoubtedly,
yeah, so like that's
undoubtedly.
cool that you see the strength grows, or at least I can advocate for your growth.
You know, I don't really know the precision of my growth, but yes, it's been such leaps and bounds that even I can tell there's been some.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I couldn't give it to you either. It's the proverbial Ryan Bowen. I'm 40% stronger. Who's going to tell you otherwise? Um,
Well, if I had to guess, I'd say I was at least twice as strong
I
from
would
when I started.
definitely agree. I am my biceps and strength, that kind of stuff is, and I power lifted for a while, and I would say that I'm twice the strength I was.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, it's measurable. So absolutely, yes, I will say I'm
twice the strength when you were powerlifting.
twice the strength from when I was powerlifting. The amount of weight that I can hold in a static position or even pick up in certain positions is double what it was when I was training.
So your bench, deadlift, and squat, have they gone up since you started arm wrestling?
They have gone controlled, so there's a difference. When you have a high bench, it's explosive. So you're pressing the weight down. You explode from the heels to your knees to your hips to your chest to push the weight up. Where I was at 535 before, and I'd have to explode from the heel up. I can just press it. So it's a
Okay.
huge difference. So it's like stabilizer muscles, things that people don't take into consideration when they get into powerlifting or anything else. Arm wrestling specifically targets stabilizer muscles,
Hmm.
and it's the biggest benefit for any kind of hypertrophy training because the amount of blood flow work that you're doing. So
That's
it's
interesting. I
over.
I can definitely say that my lifts aren't where they were. Like ever since I've started arm wrestling, it's been pretty much just arm wrestling, and my bench, deadlift, squat, and all that stuff, they're nowhere near what they used to be.
I mean, I think that if you were to incorporate those types of training while you're doing your arm wrestling training, would be different. So
Every now and then, I try and get back into bench press, but and I struggled to do it. I used bench press was the only thing I did for probably about a year and a half for a while there, and I got pretty good at it. Like I was as a sophomore, I could bench more than anybody else in my school, so that was a lot of fun.
that's impressive.
Yeah, I was like 160 pounds benching 255.
You're not a big man. Like you have a good frame.
Mhm.
muscle structure.
And I got really long arms too, which
Now
makes it
that you
even
say
better.
that, dude, I'm gonna have to put you on the bench because I'm gonna start training Wes to get
Mhm.
his bench up, get his numbers up. So I think we're gonna try. I don't know what you have going on this weekend. I'm still gonna host practice on Sunday after the
Yeah.
64 man. Um, but I definitely want to put you on the bench and see what your one rep max is for not
Right
doing
now,
bench at
I'd
all.
say it right now, my one rep max is probably like 210 pounds, I'd say.
That's I mean, it's still good. That's still 50 pounds more than you weigh. Number one. So
Yeah, about that, about
yeah.
that.
So that's a good feat in itself. But I'm curious because if you follow I have a really good bench regimen, but
Mhm.
I have never maxed out because I don't have people to play catch for me. So my one rep at 535, I can do 3 times. So I don't know what my one rep max is. I don't know what my max is. And that's pretty much all the weight that I have here to bench with. So
Jesus.
yeah, like and that's currently. Um,
Yeah,
we'll have to do that on Sunday because it'll be fun. And
it
I'll
was fun. Back in high school when we were just in the weight room, I was so much stronger than almost all the other kids. I just go in there and do the most ridiculous lifts just for kicks. Like I remember, I think it was my senior year. I walked in there. I'd taken the complete year off of doing anything lower body, and with no training, I did 255 pounds on a power clean and just destroyed everybody in there.
I don't know why that doesn't surprise me. You know, like seeing you at practice here, pulling some of the guys that you do, and your control that you have over them, not on them, because you know, it's a position thing. So
Mhm.
that it doesn't surprise me. So now we're gonna have to do a power clean. We're gonna have to do a single hand power clean. We're gonna have to do a row. Where I mean, we have all kinds of stuff that we can record.
Bazooka deadlift.
I'm so in. I'm so in.
I love it.
All right, so
I ain't doing squats though.
You
No
know,
squats.
I should probably do it and see where I'm at, but I'm not going to do that with anybody around to bear witness me fall. You know, so
Yeah.
I'll start out light. Like,
See, I was actually just thinking about something the other night. I am even more arm wrestling specific than Devin is because he has to squat to get into his pronation lift position.
and you're just doing it from the hip.
I don't even squat.
Yeah, I'm going to stand and hold. So, do you have an anchor that holds onto the lasso that you're going to pick up from? Is that what it is?
Something like that, man. I just got long arms. They'll reach all the way to the ground. I don't even got to bend over.
I don't think your anatomy is too far off from Devin Laird's or even Auden's. Well, speaking of Auden,
For proportionate wise, I think you're about right.
yeah, I mean, I would say, well, Auden's obviously heavier. He weighed in at like 205 pounds
And he's getting even bigger.
oh, he's going to be massive.
Yeah, he's not stopping.
The only reason why I'm pausing there is had an interesting little exchange on Facebook earlier, where I told Paul Italia if he wanted to prep himself because he's talking about calling out Auden Larrett, that he should come to Colorado and train with you, Garrett, the 187-pound champ out of Utah, and he immediately, like there was no hesitation, hearted it and said I would love to do that. So I'm waiting on a response from him because I did give him an official invite saying he could stay in my guest bedroom here at the house and I would love to host him. So that goes for anybody. Just putting this out there. Devil's Backbone pullers are not exclusive to our one Wyoming guy and the rest of the Colorado natives. Who's the
We
second?
have Kale.
Oh yeah, I guess he does count as Wyoming.
Yep. Well, he lives in the capital, so I mean,
Two Wyoming guys. But yeah, no, we're open to have and host anybody. So this is also on Armbet, who Taylor Palmer, who's the co-captain of our team, Devil's Backbone Pullers. He actually monitors that better than I do. I don't pay attention to Arm Fighter or Armbet.
oh yeah.
He's on there. He's managing. We've got a lot of guys who've shown up through the app, so I'm glad to see the app is finally taking its hold now. But we're open to having and hosting anybody. So that being said, is there anybody outside of who you look up to? Because we'll get to that in a second. Is there anybody who you want to pull that you just is aching you to get your hand on?
Well, in just a sense of practice, I'd like to grip up with anybody I can. I'd love to get a chance to go down to California. They got a lot of good lightweights down there. Arm wrestling whisperer, the arm bending practitioner. Um, they also got Alan Fisher, who I just want to see the size of his hand. It looks massive.
It's the same size
Pulling
as mine.
Same size as yours?
Same size as mine.
Uh, Even the same width and everything?
Same thickness, same width, same length. That dude's hand. So we pulled at San Diego at the Kraken on September 30th
Yep.
last year.
When
And
you did the super match, yep.
his hand is, I mean, every bit of mine. So it's awkward.
That that's not a hand that belongs on a lightweight.
It
That's
doesn't.
ridiculous.
We have one puller that's very similar, and that's Anthony Medina. And his hand size for how his frame is, it doesn't make sense. So with Alan Fisher, it's the same. Like that dude's hand is every bit of my hand.
Wow.
Yeah. And
That's ridiculous.
I'm fortunate enough to say that my frame is big enough to withstand him hitting, and I'm able to move him around the table so I don't feel like such an amateur. But tremendous time pulling him. There's nothing against Alan. He's a really good dude. And he would, I mean,
Just a legend.
we can, excuse me, we can easily invite him. He would come out to Colorado during a tournament. All he wants is the invitation, and he'll
Cool.
absolutely come out. So he's a really good guy. So
Yeah, and I think him and Corey actually have a little bit of history there, so I'm sure there'd be something there.
a lot of amateur internationals, which the internationals amateurs don't really, they don't have the amateur classification, but they've met quite a few times in tournaments.
Yeah, I remember Corey mentioned something about an old round robin where he went up against Alan Fisher.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any information on that, but
a really good guy. He seems like he would be like kind of aggressive in a negative way, but like he is so,
Karen Christian man, ain't he?
yeah, it's the weirdest, like I'm gonna get you, like there's no other negative connotation that comes with I'm gonna get you. He's just like, oh, I'm coming, you better pray you have the assets to beat me. Like he's that guy, like super good guy. As far as the whisper goes, I think that would be an unfair call out. You guys are in the same weight, but after watching what happened with Etienne at King of the Table, I know you're new, but this is the coach of Devil's Backbone Puller saying it this way. ET doesn't stand a chance. ET will phone home.
With him at King of the Table, do you think it was all just the strength gap, or do you think there was any mental there as well?
Well, I mean, that's without putting too much personal thought into it. I think that Devin definitely trained his son to be skillful in getting in somebody's head. And I do think that a lot of what Auden's games that he played worked. Um, I think that we saw the birth of the next generation of pullers with
With
Auden.
Auden?
I
Yeah.
do.
And that's another thing that's come to mind. I think just because of the age that we both are and the trajectory that I'm on and the trajectory that he's on, I think sooner or later we might run into each other,
I
me
think
and Auden.
sooner, definitely sooner than later. Um,
Mhm.
Everything that we're trying to do within Devil's Backbone Pullers as a team is definitely centered around making sure that we're at premier events. We have so many novice pullers. Yeah, we've kind of put ourselves in the pro category or whatever, but we're all very, very young. I think the most experienced puller on our team is maybe 3.5, 4 years in. Um, outside of
Oh,
Wes.
Wes?
Outside of Wes.
Okay, outside of Wes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Wes is about 7 years in.
Mhm.
And he's not saying anything that we don't know, right? So I
Yeah,
feel like,
yeah, no, that sounds about right.
we're a premier team, we're a premier group of guys who really take the sport seriously and are willing to travel to get our exposure out there. I think between you and I, in between Colorado and Wyoming, with the length that we've been pulling, we're right around the same, around 120 matches for 2 years, which is obscene. We pull more than anyone in our quick group. So I looked you up on airs. You're right around 115, and I think I'm like 145 or something.
Curious now. I am gonna take a look at that.
Yeah, no, definitely do.
2, 8. Yeah, without taking too long to do the math, I'd say that sounds about right.
All right, so throw it real quick because I just pulled up you on airs. Um,
Mhm. Okay, there it is.
Amateurs in there. You're right around 60 losses and 80 victories.
Sounds about right.
Which I mean, all things considered, you put the categories into it, it changes the whole demographic. But overall activity, when I jumped into the sport, which is shortly after you did, it was duration, longevity in the sport is what defines you as a pro, versus an amateur. And in your case, you're so young that you're staying in the youth category. I would have never encouraged anybody to jump into the pro category without getting things under control. I'm gonna I'll edit this little chunk out. I'm downstairs on a podcast. You good?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah,
Tell the folks I said hi, or your sister or brother, whoever's
yeah.
there.
No, that was my mom.
Okay. The boss. Tell the boss I said hi.
Oh,
Yeah.
if you listen,
So yeah, no, you and I are the most active pullers on the team. Um,
DK's making a run for it though.
he is, man, like that's a dude who truly loves the sport. So like I'm excited that he wants his name with us.
Mhm.
Juan
And when
Garcia
it
wants his name with us. Like,
when it comes to starting points, like I think he's just weirdly strong, and he had a great one.
yeah, yeah, no, it was good. Well, I think probably the only, and I went back and watched the 187 left hand when you and Juan pulled each other. He laid over for you.
Him and me had a deal that if we went right-handed, I'd let him win, and if we went left-handed, he let me win. Right before that, I asked him if he wanted to go for real, and he said, "Nah, I'll give it to you."
I think it's a good choice on him. You might have hurt him. I think I know what it is, man. He
Afterwards, we did some slow pulling, and he's when it comes to pure strength, I think we're right close to each other. It's just the fact that I can rise so much higher than him, and he can't stop that.
yeah,
It That's all the difference it is.
it definitely makes a difference for sure.
Mhm.
Like it's your post is
I
something
mean,
difficult.
yeah, and I mean, he was pulling up that day because he's normally a 154 guy, but
Yeah,
when he's in the 154s, like I mean, God, he kicked everybody's ass at Colorado in
right.
the 154s. He'll do great down there in the super lightweight category.
Well, you outweigh him, and that was I think that of all of that, and we can leave the 187 alone. You in that situation, and Juan and DK, are guys who came from our team here in Colorado and Wyoming, went out to Utah and represented themselves in a weight class that they were way underweight for. So it was kind of
Mhm.
an awkward weight class. And in that weight class, you're 19th in the United States.
Yeah, I am now after that tournament,
Like that's
according to Ayers. And
so.
yeah,
What is
it
your
was great.
walking around body weight?
For the longest time I was 175-ish, but as of lately I haven't been eating as much and I'm down to around 168, 169 pounds.
Which is still heavier than you were when you walked in wearing clothes at Utah State, right?
When I stepped on the scale, I had my shoes on, my coat on, everything on, and it said 180.
Okay. Okay.
But
That's it. All right. That has some weight to it.
yeah, I wear a lot of clothes. So
I mean, I would imagine you live in the windiest state in the United States. So
probably in the world,
yeah,
but
and you happen to weigh a buck 50 dead. So to keep you warm.
man,
All right, give me 1 second.
problem.
The live chats that are coming in here, all these money makers, all these people wanting to join our Patreon that we don't have yet.
Oh, I was about to say I didn't think you had one.
No, not yet.
Live chats on Facebook or
No. Chantel had Scarlett. They went out for Scarlett's birthday, which was last Monday, and they got their nails done. and they just walked down the stairs, and Scarlett was trying to show me, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm in a podcast." So yeah, just sending
Which
my love and all that good fun stuff.
which one is Scarlet? Because I'll be honest, I kind of fake knowing your kid's name every time I'm down there.
That hurts my feelings.
I'm
Scarlett's,
sorry. I'm
Scarlett's,
trying.
Scarlett's my 9-year-old. So
Okay.
she's the blonde, the dirty blonde, curly haired girl.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Scarlett is mine, and Dante is mine, and then Axel, Alex, and Elena are all Chantel's.
Okay.
It's
Now that you say the names, I can remember them, but off the top of my head, most of the time, I can't do it.
it's fine. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
I remember Dante just because he goes out of his way to be funny, and Axel because his name is cool, but
Yeah,
that's about it.
they both adore. Well, all three of them, Alex, Axel, and Dante, all adore you. So like, not
Oh,
only
those
you're
kids are great.
a phenomenal arm wrestler, but you're also like the big brother they never had kind of thing. So like
And
I
it's a Nerf war just about every time I come down there.
I know. Most of the time it's like, all right, here, are you ready to arm wrestle, or are you just gonna go hang out with the kids and play video
I'm in
games?
the middle of a Nerf war. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
yeah, understood. No explanation necessary. All right, so that brings me to the you didn't name specific names on who you want to call out.
Well, okay. Those were people who I'd love to pull. And again, I just love to grip up with anybody.
Sure.
But my plan right now is to make my first call out after nationals because I think that'll definitely give me an idea of where I stand against other lightweights. And I thought about calling out Casey Allen for the while, but then I did some left-handed pulling with him at Utah State, and getting out into his fingers was no challenge, and busting his wrist, it was I could go through it pretty easy. But some people on the list, I've been talking a lot about Kevin Palco lately. I'd love to get a chance against him, and a lot of people have said that I'd actually be a good match for him. And this is all left-handed. I'm not ready for a right-handed super match yet.
Sure. Are you
And
opposed to anybody calling you out right-handed?
I think it would kind of depend on who. Like
Okay.
my plan right now is to just get to the point where my right is no longer in pain during tournaments, and I can actually tell what I'm doing. Because my biggest problem right now is it's just the mental connection is still not really there. My
Gotcha.
cupping and rising aren't there. So once those things all fix, I would be yeah, I'd probably do it.
You'd be
And
okay.
yeah,
So
I'd be open
Palco
to it.
right now is kind of your focus per se. Like he would be the guy. If you were to make a call out right now, it'd be Palco left-handed.
I have a feeling I'm going to see how I do against him at nationals, but yes, Palco I think would be the guy. And
Okay.
there's some other guys I got my eye on that I'm kind of planning down the road for. Um, I want to try and at least make a run for one of the top guys here in Wyoming for as long as I'm here. So that would mean pulling Devin Bear, Corey Miller, and AJ Henson, which those are being optimistic. Those are a couple of years down the road.
I think
But
that's fair. That's definitely fair.
yeah, and I mean, I'm talking about guys who have been doing this for 20 plus years.
But also
Or
outside of your weight category. Like
yeah,
collect
AJ can be 198 if he wants, but Corey and Devin are right there with me if they want to be.
yeah, but you're walking around 165er. That's
Mm-hmm.
not the same as a 176er. There's you have guys who cut down, and this is something that we go back and forth on. You have guys who cut down to the weight that you walk around at. So your natural weight is what you compete at. You
Yeah.
could drop down to the 155s, and you would be the most awkward pterygitis Mandaugus style puller, because your levers are so long, but you can make the weight. So
I actually considered doing that for nationals, but I decided that I'm way too close to the event to actually try it.
I appreciate that you are
Not what?
not cutting down to that weight.
Yeah.
I think that if you were to pursue that, like say, oh, well, this is my career going forward, I'm going to cut to this weight, I'm going to move down, I'm going to blah blah blah, then you're training for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you're just training to be where you are.
Exactly. And I've never done a weight cut in my life, so I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm not going to risk it when I'm this close to the biggest event I've ever competed at.
Right, but you're also naturally lean. Like at any given time, you could hold your breath and have a six pack. That's not
I don't even have to hold my breath.
Okay, there you go. Thank you for bragging, Mister Whatever. But
Mm.
no, but I mean, it's that's a big deal. Like, in order for your body to lean out, for you to get to this point where you're at maximum leanness, where you don't have any fat percentage, no water is going to make you tip the scale in a negative direction. You're already there. So for you to go even beyond that, you end up looking emaciated.
I'd
Nobody,
probably lose a lot of strength.
exactly. Nobody wants to buy a cow that looks like it can't pull a till. So
Mhm, fair enough.
you don't want to hurt yourself in that regard. So I think it's a good thing that you're not even flirting with the idea. Like, maybe it's living there, whatever. I don't think you should. At the very least, I think you had said um, the last time we were talking about weight that your dad lean was like 150 pounds.
And that was when he was my age. Yeah.
So
Like,
genetically, you can't mess around with your own natural physiology. So it doesn't do you a service to go against it. Stay,
mhm.
get stronger where you're at. If you gain a couple of pounds, you cut down to your natural competing weight, but don't try and go.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Um,
So, yeah, like I said, Devin, Corey, and AJ are all guys living here in Wyoming who sooner or later I'd like the chance to go against them. Um, I'd love to go up against Roman Gromov at some point
good.
because I
So
mean,
technically, he's Ukrainian, but where is he out of? Is he out of Montana?
no, I think Roman Gromov is over in Iowa. I want to say
I'm not sure. That's why I was asking you if you knew.
that I talked to him back at South Dakota. I think he said somewhere in the Midwest.
Either Iowa or Illinois.
Yeah, he said he was working for Bearco out there. I
Okay,
think that's what it was.
that'd be a good. I
So
think that'd be a good match. I think even now at your age, you have enough table IQ to definitely present a difficult challenge for him.
Roman was he was kind of like my first eye-opening experience to the true pros because when I saw the way he adjusted and the way he set up, it was unlike anything I'd ever gone up against before. Like he was the first guy I ever pulled who did the zero load in his hand and wrist and anything, and I was automatically like, I have no idea how to counter this.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yep.
exactly, and yeah, it was for that entire tournament. I tried a whole bunch of different things, and I had no idea. It was weird, and then I start talking with a bunch of people afterwards, getting an idea of it, and there's still a big IQ gap in there, but I'm starting to decode some of it.
I think that's when you start to actually transition. Where when somebody says something to you about your body position, elbow, being here or hip being close to the table, and you go, "Oh,
Mhm.
that's why that makes sense." That's when
And
you
his whole thing that day was it wasn't getting to a good position for him, it was about denying me getting to my position.
shut your
And
mouth.
that
Yeah.
exactly, and that's the real IQ game there.
No, that's cool. It's a weird acuity game where you're like, all right, well, fundamentally, I think I'm an arm wrestler, but then you're like, oh, am I a good arm wrestler? How do I gauge that? Oh, well, mental acuity. Like, I can put myself in the most advantageous position by negating somebody else's strength. I think it's huge. I think that you're a phenomenal puller. So I, you know,
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
can't lift your accolades enough, other than to say that you jumping on in the sport when I did, when Taylor did, and we're all growing together, and we all can attack each other's strengths and weaknesses and really isolate things. It's cool to grow and learn at the same time. Um,
exactly.
who do you look up to as, like? I know that you had mentioned Devin Larrett in
You
when you
know, I started off as the Devon fanboy.
gotcha.
As of lately, you've been a what's the word I'm looking for? You've been spreading blasphemy about Devin Larrett that has kind of taken me away from the path.
I've been spreading blasphemy. So he's this deity, and I'm like this layman that is just your definition of Devin.
That that's exactly what you've been.
Is
But no, in all honesty, I have been realizing lately, yeah, I've been coming to my own conclusions about what to do and what not to do, like the pros and everything. Like as of lately, I've been doing a lot more looking at local pullers, like guys here in the United States and watching them. Uh I watch a bunch of Isaac Luna's videos, but I watch a bunch of his old videos back when he was still competing a lot.
you know,
Those are always fun. Um Yeah, actually, past couple of days, I've been watching a shit ton of the late 2000s WAF videos. You
Okay.
know, back when John was beating Dennis and Gennady was still super young and all that, and those have been a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm not really idolizing any specific arm wrestler anymore. I'm just looking everywhere, I guess is the way to put it.
Paving your own way. I think that's probably why I look at your skill set the way I do, is that you're young and the internet puts all of the different arm wrestlers' abilities at your fingertip to where you can learn how to counter adjust or how to strength train in a particular direction, how to work on a vector. Thank you, Ryan Bowen, or how to change. You come every time you come to practice, you're doing something new that you saw either somebody else do or somebody say this was effective, and you test it out in real time. And that's probably my favorite thing about you as a puller is you have enough cognitive awareness to go, I feel the pressure coming here. So as I feel that pressure coming here, I'm going to make the adjustment. I'm going to rise. And then when the rise comes and they're counting your rise, they're like, all right, cool, I'm going to soup it. And just these small adjustments to me are what make you a threat. And it's making you
You
a
know,
threat now versus
it's really cool to hear you say that because actively, I don't do as much as you see I'm doing. I think actually a lot more of it is I'm actually picking up on it instinctually,
good.
which I ultimately think is even better than actually thinking about it actively.
1,000%. 1,000%. Because
So,
it just means you'll employ it and do it. It's
exactly.
this is my philosophy, and I feel like it's made huge gains on my right versus my left. When I started pulling, everybody's like, man, your right hand is so strong. And everything they're telling me to do with my right, I did with my left. I didn't have to train the left. I didn't have to do anything extra. And then when I grip with somebody else who knows me on the same level, they're like, man, your left is insane. What are you doing on your left? And I'm like, nothing. I'm experimenting on the right, and then I'm just doing on the left. So recently, I would say up until about 2 weeks ago, all of my focus has been on my left, and my right has just been smashing everything. Into
Okay. Okay.
right. So if I'm focused on doing whatever drill it is, whatever blood flow work, whatever I'm doing on the left, I'm starting first, and it's naturally translating over to the right.
That's
Whereas when
interesting.
I started pulling, it was right. We're putting it out here because I'm naturally strong. I'm right-handed. I'm this. I'm that. Whatever. It translated over to the left easy. Now, if I make it my focus on the left, I'm starting to pick it up fundamentally. Like my right response is way faster than my left, and that wasn't the
Okay.
case 3 months ago. They were
Yeah.
pretty much on par. So
Okay.
just training methods, and I think that it's the subconscious IQ that you have. And I
And
definitely pay attention to it. I think that
so that's an interesting thought, actually, with your right picking up left and vice versa. Is that something you'd say that's come and gone or has always been there? Like,
so I've always been ambidextrous. Like I can shoot pool left and right-handed. I can bat left and right-handed. I can throw a football left and right-handed. So I am genuinely ambidextrous, but overall strength has always been dominated on the right.
okay. Because for me, it's my right that the mental connection isn't there, like I've said, and there's definitely been zero transfer over. And you're naturally right-handed, aren't you?
Yes,
So I think the thing is there, I do a lot of things ambidextrous, but it's because I'm left-handed and I've grown up learning how to do things right-handed. It never really came naturally,
I
is what
got
I
you. Sure.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
Well,
That's something I'm gonna have to look more into. That's an interesting thought to me.
welcome to the sport of arm wrestling, where they left the left behind. It didn't matter
Actually, no, the left is I think it's probably in its best days right now with
now.
everything.
Yes, now, but 10 years ago, nobody cared about left-handed arm wrestling.
It wasn't there.
So, like for you, it's like the perfect time to shine, right? Because your left is nasty, man. You're
It's getting good. And
Without giving away specifics. You and I have very similar levers. I think I'm maybe a half inch longer.
yeah, and it's only in your fingertips.
Yep. Outside of that, your post and rise is nasty.
Hmm.
It's
Like so much of the time I have to dump so low down because of pulling the other lightweights, they can't match it.
100%. Well, which is why I'm naturally a low hand top roller.
Hmm.
But it's great
And
for Jumping into a hook.
only recently, I've started been getting back into my posting top roll because kind of between Colorado and Utah when I wasn't competing, I was practicing a lot of the low hand, and it was okay. But after trying it out a couple of times in tournament situations and coming back to my posting top roll, it feels a lot more natural, a lot better.
Good.
I mean, I'd love to have everything. Like as of lately, I've been watching so many hook pullers, and I've been just starting to think to myself, man, I wish I could pull in a hook. Like
You're
Matt has kind of become one of my favorites lately.
well, I mean, that's you guys have the same lever. He just has a lot more dense or a lot more density to him than you do.
Okay.
So, like, it looks normal for him to go into a hook. If you go into a hook, it looks like you and Tom Holland, right? Like you have really long levers. It doesn't. You're like two ants collecting the same.
Yeah. I I sh I should have hooked Tito at Utah.
What's that? Say it again.
I should have hooked Tito at Utah just in our final match just to be a dick. I
Yeah,
should have done it.
that
Uh,
was some of my favorite arm wrestling was that day.
It was a good day. I enjoyed it.
I got to, I mean, for me, it was the benefit of I got to hold you guys everybody's hand, setting you guys up in the grip. I was the top ref in that situation, which is cool. I got to have experience there, but it was nice to see how much people actually load in those situations. Where as a puller, we're holding each other's hands. Well, oh, you're loading, you're doing this, you're doing that, whatever. I actually got to feel like you versus somebody else, and I'm like, oh, you dirty bastard. Yeah, I can feel you right now. All right. Fair. Matching the game. But it was cool. Like it was such a good tournament. And I'm looking forward to the 64 man that's coming up on March 2nd. So before
This
I jump
weekend.
into that and your predictions there, um, when it comes to adversity in a tournament, what is the hardest thing you've had to overcome as a puller?
Ooh. Um, that's a really good question because in tournament, I've never really been a guy to fight for the setup, especially lately. Um, I would say it was trying to adapt in the middle of a tournament for me.
Making the
Because
adjustment.
even still, even right now, I'm still kind of a one-trick pony trying to learn more. But most of the time, if somebody beats me in my strongest position, the only way for me to counter them is usually not in my strongest position. So I've pulled it off a time or two. Other times they've blown right through it. That's been one of the biggest things.
All right.
So for a lot of people, my if my main ability doesn't work, it's tough to try and go to a different lane.
That's fair. The reason why I asked the question the way I did is you already know a handful of the pullers that are going into the 64 man competition on Saturday.
I know a surprising amount of them. I was going through the list the other day and I was like, I actually know more than I thought.
Right. So this is why the asking you about overcoming adversity is so relevant. Being that you know them, you don't know them just from viewing them, you know them from pulling them.
Gripping
Because
up with them, yeah.
you've always been the guy that's like, oh, I'm going to pull 4 weight classes, both left and right arm. I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to test myself out. Who is your pick based on accolades that they have, and who is your pick based on people you've held hands with?
If we were focusing on accolades only, I think it would be Fabian Collin because the guy's a national champion.
Fantastic.
But when it comes to people I've pulled with right-handed, when Fabian came to one of our practices, even I was top rolling the guy. And my right is my weak arm.
Right.
So I don't like Fabian's chances in this.
Okay.
So but there's two guys in there who I got my eye on. One is our very good friend Taylor Palmer, and there's still such a strength difference there. I still don't think I've gotten a true feel for what he's actually capable of.
Sure.
But and then the other one would be David Horniak. And I think Taylor is way ahead of Horniak just because when I've felt Taylor, he lets me pull him into his weakest position and then he pulls himself out of it.
Sure.
With David, when he's a great guy, but when we practice, he uses his fingers, cups me in, doesn't let me have anything.
Sure.
That's it.
Yeah. Stick
So
know.
so with David, I think his speed could be a problem for a lot of people. I think he's probably one of the fastest guys in there. but I think Taylor, on his brute strength alone, and his technicality, honestly, I think he's got a pretty good handle on it.
I definitely think that you are spot on. Those are my top two. Those are the two guys that I don't want to face each other. Those are the two guys that like. But if it comes down to a championship, I'm gonna be losing my mind, screaming to support both of them. They're both phenomenal pullers. They're both Devil's Backbone pullers. So for me, I want.
We're just secretly hyping them up when we know that Vince is going to roll through everybody.
Probably, Vince is the hand. So we can't forget about the hand who's competing. We can't forget about the Axe A, our buddy Mark.
A.
Yeah. We got David Horniak, the Yak, that sucks on Jesus juice. Like, that's my man. And then we got Taylor, the Terminator Palmer. That's four guys. And what's to me the most beautiful thing in that is all four of those guys are DBP.
Mm-hmm.
All four of those guys are Devil's Backbone pullers. So
Yep.
it doesn't matter. They're going to get the same energy and affliction and cheering. It doesn't matter if they're going against each other or who they're going against. Like, those are all, I look at it and I say it this way, those are all my guys. Like, from day one, me jumping into the sport, taking it seriously, they've always had my back. They've always been there to push me harder. I do the same thing with them. The strength gaps are irrelevant. Like, they are what makes being part of that back there so great.
Yeah.
So like I'm gonna be I won't have a voice Sunday. So I won't be calling ready goes at practice on Sunday because I will have blown my throat out from screaming and yelling all day Saturday on the second at this tournament. So I'm looking forward to it. So it's awesome. So you have your top two. We have Nick.
Just out of curiosity, have you given any thought to third place? Because that's the one I could see a lot of fight for.
I think that if in order for Horniak and Taylor to be the final two, third place will not have a DBP guy. It won't. It's just not possible.
Okay.
And that being said, it leaves the door open for one person to be third, and that would be Nicholas Anthony. And I think that
What is he weighing right now? Because I know he was down there for a while.
Super light. He's cut a bunch, but I take CJ Leteau at his word. CJ is, in my opinion, the number one 220 guy in Colorado,
Yep.
both left and right hand. And he tells me that Nick is on his level in a hook. And for me, I'm like, okay, that changes things a little bit because Nick is known as an outside top roller. So if his hook is on the level with CJ, all right, being that Nick hasn't committed to being part of DBP, he is an unforeseen on the breakdown of the spreadsheet. He is one that could potentially come in third. So we spoke on Messenger a couple days ago, and I told him he's in my top 10. My top two, unfortunately but fortunately, are David Horniak and Taylor Palmer. So I think it's ironic that we reach the same conclusion, but talent recognizes talent. It's just the way it is.
Exactly.
So I'm looking forward to these guys pulling. David is, he sends me videos of him training right now, and the dude naturally at the 242-pound weight is a monster. The speed is there. His tenacity as a puller is there, even in training. So that's the part where I'm like, ooh, it's gonna be
He's a completely different guy.
It's a bad day for a lot of guys. Like, it's a lot. But then Taylor, and I know how Taylor pulls. I see those two kind of duking it out for first and second, and they're on opposite ends of the bracket, so it's possible.
I think David's only hope with Taylor would be to flash him. I think if Taylor can stop him, it's done.
If David cannot, I don't even want to say it. There's one way that David beats Taylor, and I've already told David and I've told Taylor, so they both know. And I'm not going to say it out loud because I don't want anybody else who's watching this podcast to get fruit.
If you want to just chop this section out, go for it.
Yeah, like, it's just, I'll tell you when I stop recording.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we reached that conclusion. I think that it surmises that we both are seeing the same thing in all of the boards.
Do you think there's any wild cards in there? Like,
Jody
these are our who?
Jody Williams.
Okay. I keep hearing the name pop up. I really don't know much about the
So
guy.
Jody Williams is from Oregon. He is what do they call him? They call him Chocolate Thunder. I
Yeah, I
think
know exactly who it is. Yeah.
okay, so I was gonna say I think he's the only black guy in the competition, but like that's the easiest way to identify him. Whatever. Jody's not commonly a whatever. Um, he is to me, he is the only like he genuinely is the only person I would be concerned of. Outside, there's another guy, Hispanic guy out of Mexico, who trains with their heavyweight. I can't remember his name right now. Um,
So with Jody Williams, why is he your wild card? Like, what does this guy have that or doesn't have that you don't know? Like,
so Jody's cupping ability and speed on his hit. If Jody doesn't get the hit, that's where Jody loses. Jody's not a grinder. Jody is an explosive hitter. He's a person who sets up. When he goes, he is cupping and press, going into his move. Everything is one fluid motion. If
okay,
he hits that, it's, I would say, because he hits the timing of the cadence of the ref, makes it just really hard to counter because you're not allowed to load, you're not allowed to counter, you're not allowed to do anything. But he's like this guy that the system is, these are all one motion, right? So on your ready go, it's ready go, and he's already moving into that position, knowing that the G is coming, So he's just
so
Jody
it's his reaction time. You're saying,
100%,
okay,
but he trains it. It's not that he has fast twitch muscles, it is that he has always had fast twitch muscles that he has made better, right?
okay, okay.
And there is a specific counter to that I've already talked to Taylor about. And again, me not knowing anything about the sport besides my obsession, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
Okay.
So I think I told
Um,
perfect counter.
Luke Pulcher is going to be the head ref, right?
Yep, and his cadence.
Okay.
It is
Okay.
it's a specific ready go, and you have a half second before he says ready to the word go. And as long as you know that, you can be here and start to move at the end of the Y, and know that when you're here, you're on G, and you're fine.
Okay. Well, it makes me feel good that Luke is there because if this Jody Williams guy is that fast and there's any false starts from him, Luke will be able to call it.
I definitely think you do good. I'm pretty sure that Tim Talmadge is also there.
Dude, those are like the two best refs in the United States
I
right there.
agree. I will say this: Tim should not ref any match that Jody is part of.
Oh, because they pull together a lot?
They've known each other for years. They're good dudes. It would be the same as if I saw Corey Miller pulling you at a spot and Tim was the head ref on that, I would volunteer myself to go and be the head ref in that situation. Or I would ask that another ref comes over in that situation. Only because they know the cadence of the puller, and it's not
Okay.
just how they say it, it's how they move. It's a huge, it's amazing to me after learning how to hit right-handed, the differences of how people move. And if you watch the video, you can actually pick up on the physical cadence as well.
It's a subconscious movement that's the exact same every time.
It's so wild, but it is. It really is. And so I would, in that those situations, I would say, hey, can we have somebody that might not be biased or whatever come and officiate this? So there are very, very few matches in the 64 man that I would try and advocate for the puller on either end. It doesn't matter who, because I want to have the best representation up there. I don't want a guy walking away going, I would have had him if, right?
Okay.
Lose, they
Okay.
lose. That's my opinion on it.
That's interesting. Okay. I like it.
So are you going to be there on March 2nd?
Unless something comes up, I plan to be. Yeah.
Awesome. Anything that comes, you're more than welcome to stay here at the house. You already know that because we have practice on Sunday.
Yep.
So you're more than welcome to come down and hang out and do whatever you got to do to save yourself driving back and forth. But yeah, so
I
I
just
plan
might
on
do that.
being there the whole day March 2nd. For anybody who will not be there, Devil's Backbone Pullers will be live with or without commentary based on what y'all want. We will be live though at the 64 man Air Super Series. 242-pound right hand heavyweight competition. And
Biggest bracket in arm wrestling history.
it's huge. And I'm looking forward to it because of the payouts and what it does for the pullers. I don't.
It's ridiculous to me that he was able to get this amount of payouts. Like it blows me away.
It's insane.
$10,000 worth of sponsorships to first place. Like
Huge.
you can't find that anywhere in the West, I don't think. A $10,000 payout.
This one thing I'll throw at the end. I love how this is all coming together. And I love the fact that it's coming to fruition. It's great. Super mad props to Frank Callahan and Corey Miller.
And I don't know how long Corey's been planning this thing, but it seems like it all went together pretty quick.
It did.
So that makes it even
I'm
more
thankful
impressive.
that he didn't put certain pullers in there. You know, Fabian's in there. He has national championships. He's gone to worlds. Like, cool. But like people like Freddie Sanchez, who are in the weight category, that are absolute monsters. I think that there will be a handful of guys that are going to call Freddie out after this is done because they have climbed the proverbial ladder to get to that point of echelon to call him out in super matches. But I love that this is taking place. That it's a bracketed format on a specific weight class that allows the absolute promotion and dedication to the best of that weight class. Those guys who want to enter into it, that want to duke it out, like to me, that is the gladiator portion of the sport that I think we've been missing for a while, which is where you say who is the best of the best, and it doesn't matter what organization. There's a lot of hoopla going on around different Zloty tours and vendettas and different things that they're
I've
trying
been
to
seeing
get,
that lately. It's weird.
yeah, they're trying to get coming up. And I think that Corey and Frank have really hit the nail on the head. They have a contract for the next 11 after this tournament to push through. I'm looking forward to promoting those for Corey and even reffing in those situations where he needs one, supplying tables for the after pulls, whatever they are. I'm going to help the sport grow the best I can. And I know that DBP, all the guys with Devil's Backbone Pullers, are right there on board, and we're going to help wherever we can. So that all
And
being
it's a cool situation because you and me have talked about it a lot, how there's so many hundreds of underappreciated arm wrestlers in the country who don't get the appreciation that they should, don't get the publicity that they should. And this is not it's not the best of the best. Corey has said it himself, but it's setting these guys up to have a chance for people to start calling them out, and maybe they'll start down a road that could lead them to being the best of the best.
I agree 100%.
Like it's the perfect stepping off point for
I
people.
look forward to them having a whatever weight you decide to compete at category. That's what I'm looking forward to. I feel like you'll be able to prove who you are at that point. I think that left hand is equally as important as right hand, just because that's human nature. Like there's one without the other. No, they coexist. So it's just as relevant. So I'm looking forward to when he does the left hand. And for me, I will compete in both. Being as young as I am in the sport.
Well, the thing is, there will come a point where if we keep competing on the path that we are, it's very likely that we'll get rated high enough that we won't actually be allowed to compete in this.
This is very true. I mean, I'm already there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm there in one class. A lot of the other classes, I'm not.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
I
have.
think technically, I think technically, I could have actually qualified for the
You can
Super
pull
64.
in all
But
of them. I just don't want to see that happen to you. It's not necessary. Like
would have
what
been funny if I got Fabian first round though and rolled right through him.
I'd actually put money on that. I would.
It would be funny. It'd be funny.
No, man, I think that you've covered all the questions there, and I think that if anybody has any more questions, they can find you on social media at Garrett Rees on Facebook. They can also reach out to our Devil's Backbone Puller YouTube chat that we will be posting this onto. And as everything grows, we have our Facebook page, which is Devil's Backbone Pullers on Facebook. Please definitely follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff that comes on YouTube. And I really appreciate you jumping on board and letting all of the fans who don't know your last name and all of the accomplishments you've had, you're getting to educate them. And I really appreciate
Very much so. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lots more great stuff to come. So keep watching on this guy too.
Hey, my man. All right. Love arm wrestling. DVP. Yeah. All right, bro.
Peace out.
Later, man.